Hello guys, welcome back to my midnight talk where I have to talk quietly. I hope that you guys can hear me, but I mean, look at the time, it's past 3 in the morning. I'm so bad. So for those who don't know me, I am Yoko. I am a Japanese living in Japan, and I am also a proud Trump supporter in Japan, and you might think it's kind of ridiculous or whatever because I can't even vote. But you gotta realize that you can get on Trump train anywhere in this world, and that's amazing. He is that cool. So I've been following the US presidential campaign since last year, probably around October or maybe earlier, but I've been showing my support for Mr. Trump since then. And I was first doing that on my Facebook page, like my personal account, but then I started to do that obviously on YouTube. And you know what I realized? I interact a lot, and what happens is I get the same type of questions over and over again from American people, especially liberal people, because they don't want to see the reality that Japan actually supports Mr. Trump. I'd say we Japanese are very familiar with the presidential campaign because we have a lot of TV programs and articles about it, and even though the media here is mostly liberal, oh, this is funny, but they have to say that Mr. Trump is winning because it's true, right? And yeah, it makes me feel good. But I was meaning to show you guys this copy of the magazine here. It's like a weekly magazine that's very well known, and you see Mr. Trump is right there. And it says if the President Trump will be born and if Japan will at the crisis or if things will be better or things like that. But anyways, it's interesting that Mr. Trump even gets the media coverage a lot here in Japan. But yeah, we started to talk about what's gonna happen to Japan when President Trump is born and things like that, so that's awesome. I can see the same thing happening in the UK. For example, The Guardian has published an article titled "What President Donald Trump's First 100 Days in Office Would Look Like." So I could say that this means that the world is starting to be prepared for President Trump, and I think that is very exciting. But anyways, I thought that I should answer to the frequently asked questions in my videos. So the question I am going to take up today is the one that I get most, which is that what do I, a Japanese, think of Mr. Trump's comment on Japan-US security treaty? So Mr. Trump has been saying that the security treaty that we have is unfair. So I'm gonna quote him. "If Japan gets attacked, we have to immediately go to their aid, and if we get attacked, Japan doesn't have to help us. That's a fair deal?" No! If I had been at the rally, I would probably have yelled like, "No, it's not fair because what he's saying is true." And I'm not saying this to be nice to him. I seriously don't think that the security treaty is fair. And it is not only me, like a lot of people here in Japan were so happy to hear him say that because believe it or not, we've been thinking the same thing for decades, like a long time. It's been part of our huge frustration in our society too. For example, just today actually, even the very famous former politician here in Japan named Toru Hashimoto, who's also a lawyer and Prime Minister Abe's favorite guy, he tweeted and said, "Mr. Trump is insisting the unfairness of the Japan-US security treaty. This is a wake-up call for all the sleeping babies here in Japan. When the US asks for the proper charge or responsibility to Japan, we can finally think about our security." And he goes on, "We will have to think whether we are going for the massive financial bear or if we are going for independent self-defense, or if we are going to regularly cooperate with the US for the right of collective self-defense. But the hysterical anti-movement on the right of collective self-defense will be calmed down soon this way." And he still goes on like a bunch of tweets, you know. You don't realize that you are supported by others until the support is gone. You get serious for the first time when the support is gone. True. We can start the productive discussions on our security if Mr. Trump insists that we have to reconsider the Japan-US security. And that is more important than the abstract debate of the revision of our constitution. And that is the end of the quote. So you might not know this, but Japan doesn't even have the military. Like what we have right now is named Self-Defense Force. It's like a bigger version of the police. Like, in fact, it all started off as a police agency after the World War II, named Police Reserve Force. And the use of military force is not allowed by our constitution, surprisingly. And that's why Mr. Hashimoto mentioned the constitution debate. So we normal Japanese have been trying to revise the constitution so that we can have the military and get things functioning as a normal nation and contribute for the world peace and whatnot. But communists and liberals here, they've been in the way all along. Like, yeah, what a surprise. Like I said in my previous video, which I am going to link below if you haven't seen it, those communists here were even doing the student movement in order to oppose to the Japan-US security treaty, and their offsprings still do the same thing today through the youth group called SEALs and stuff. You know, they just want to tear apart the Japan-US relationship so that communist China can take over Japan, and that's the common strategy of communists in both Japan and China. In fact, the party platform of the Japanese Communist Party, which is pretty much working for the Chinese Communist Party, clearly states that they want to abandon our alliance relationship with the US. So yeah, they are really on the move. And like I said earlier, our media and education system are liberal and they're dominating here. So the Japanese people that are not brainwashed, like myself, have been wanting to break all the vicious circle in our society, but we can't seem to defeat the big business, you know. Like, we are not as smart or as rich as Mr. Trump, if you know what I mean. But I want you guys to know that Japan feels terrible for not being militarily independent, because I know that we are not useful, and I'm sorry for that. But yeah, it sucks for us too, because we have our pride too, and we can't even be a normal nation. You know, Japan relying on the US means that, just like Mr. Trump is saying, if anything happens, we're asking the American soldiers to die for us, and we won't do the same for them. And by common sense, I don't think that's a healthy relationship. The logic is the same as, let's say that you are in a relationship and you're a guy and you tell your beautiful girlfriend something like, oh baby, I'm gonna protect you and our future family, and something cheesy like that. And what if your girl replies and says, oh, you better protect me, that's your obligation, but I'm not gonna protect you, I'll be away. I'm like, what a right? I mean, I'm sorry for the word, but you know what I mean? Like, that's the situation that we are in though, right? And we need to fix that. At the same time, I think that Japan does have the ability to be the leader of Asia for security and cooperate with the US. Like, you know, you guys can be far away and control us or whatever, or something like that. What I mean is, Japan and the US can think of the strategy together by which the US can cut the costs and the risks that's being currently needed in Asia. And it works out for us Japanese too, because we need to be independent. I could say that our needs just match, you know what I mean? But right now the reality is Australia is doing a great job, unlike us, and we're so left behind. And yeah, but now let me mention what the Admiral Harris, in charge of the US Pacific Command, said. He said, I believe China seeks hegemony in East Asia. Simple as that. He also said, in my opinion, China is clearly militarizing the South China Sea. You would have to believe in a flat earth to believe otherwise. And he also criticized their actions as, I believe that China's actions are provocative. So I'm not sure how familiar you guys are on the South China Sea issues, but like he says, in the South China Sea, China is out of hand. Like they're militarizing around there and in order to grab the power in Asia, and that's one of the biggest concerns for the rest of us Asians. And there's something else he said, so I'm gonna quote a part of an article. China also has been sailing warships and flying military aircraft near Japan's Senkaku Island in the East China Sea. Harris said the United States has said it would defend those islands, which China claims, as we would defend Tokyo under a US-Japan defense treaty. And for this comment, you have no idea how grateful we are. Like, we reacted so much and there were so many blog posts and such out of joy. But what you and I have to realize is that the Command Chief Harris is showing his personal opinions, which I am guessing is a rare case because he's basically opposing to the government, right? Like, I don't think American leaders are supposed to insist their opinions on other countries' territorial dispute, you know what I mean? You guys all know how President Obama is. Like, his State of the Union address at the beginning of this year didn't cover the Chinese military threat. And what's worse, it's not only him. The policy speech by the Japanese Prime Minister Abe didn't cover the threat either. Prime Minister Abe, by the way, is conservative, but he has a lot of enemies, even inside of his administration and even inside of his party, because there are just so many liberals here and he has to sacrifice a lot of things to maintain his administration. Anyways, it's easy to imagine that the US Pacific Command was disappointed at the attitude of both governments, and so the Command Chief Harris had to go on the move to criticize the current situation. You know, he could lose his job for what he's doing, even though it's so right. And it's so sad that President Obama is not willing to do anything about it. I like him as a person, but I don't like him as a leader. But so, Command Chief Harris, you are one of a kind, and we thank you so much. But yeah, what sucks for us though is that the social system here is dominated by liberals and communists, like I said, and it's not gonna be easy for us to change the things as we wish. But that's why we really appreciate the comments on our security treaty by Mr. Trump and also the South China Sea situation by Command Chief Harris. I have to admit that I am a little embarrassed to say this, but Japan can't do this alone. Like, it's like we're trying to escape from this deep hole that we're stuck in and we are trying to climb up, but we need people outside to pull us up, you know what I mean? Like, maybe we're asking too much for you guys, but you know, after that things will be better for everyone. So yeah. So to summarize this video, I am going to say that Mr. Trump is so right and he is great for us Japan too. And I have to say that he's very talented. Also, one more thing to mention before I go. Mr. Trump seems to be in a good relationship with the Russian President Putin, and our Prime Minister Abe actually gets along with him too. So I am happy to see that the presidential candidate of our ally, Mr. Trump, is not making President Putin America's enemy, you know, and vice versa. And I think that that's a clever move of everyone. Isn't it amazing? Like, he's not even the president yet and he's kind of fixing Japan simultaneously. That's amazing. As for other questions that I get, which are about the US economy, like America winning and TPP and things like that, I will make another video and talk to you guys. So for now, I will let you guys go. So thank you so much for watching this long video. It means a lot to me. So yeah. Okay, I will see you soon. Bye!